anyone that wants to have fun.
Okay.
I mean, if you're serious about a good quad and something's not going to break.
G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, trust me, it's a big one. Get set to get stunned. You're going to be excited. I have been checking the post every single day, and as soon as it turned up, I was so excited I just went out, and I've been flying it so much, and now it's here. It's on the bench. This is the bench breakdown. It's a little bit dirty because it's been taking a beating, but of the new Armattan Marmotte, Marmite, however you say it anyway. The name is going to trick me through this whole review, but this is Armattan's latest iteration for 2019. If you're into freestyle, tell me what you think about this. A frame that's made in the USA, I think it's cut in Canada, space grade carbon fiber, lifetime warranty, and just all round, and a fantastic freestyle rig, whether you're a new pilot, whether you want to jump in, fly bandos, or whether you just been flying for a long time and you want a reliable rig. Also a unibody. There is so much to look forward to in this frame. I'm super excited. So what we're going to do, we're going to stick it on the bench, break it down. If you want to watch part 2, a little card should pop up there. That's where we take it out, fly it around. But this is the detailed breakdown of, I guess, a bit of an exclusive. So I'm very lucky to have this here. And I've been enjoying it, of Armattan's new frame. And also we've got one to give away. So check the description for official rules and make sure you like and comment, subscribe, all that other sort of stuff. But I want to know, what do you think about Armattan's customer service? Or what do you think about their latest frame, the Marmotte? What do you think about it? Because yeah, we've got one to give away to you subscribers. Without further ado, let's stick it on the bench and find out why Armattan keeps pushing the envelope. And if you're after a new freestyle rig for 2019, well, you're about to be, well, I don't even know if it's pleasantly surprised, because we know Armattan makes good stuff, but you're about to have an amazing time. Radio, let's do it. Radio, here it is on the bench, and first things first, this thing is an absolute thing of beauty. I mean, just look at it. I'll also put some pictures on the screen, but like I mentioned, I do have to apologize because mine is a bit dirty. Usually I like to review them in their pristine condition, but I couldn't help myself. I just wanted to take this thing, fly it around, have some fun straight away. So I've been putting this thing through an absolute beating, so that's why it kind of looks a little bit more filthy than usual. But overall, after the overview, we're going to go through, we're going to break it down, look at the components, how it comes together, the design, a big part. We're going to talk about the frame quite in detail, and then we'll talk about the pros and cons, the quality, all that sort of stuff before wrapping it up. And then in the part 2, that's where we take it out, rip it around, and have some fun with all the boys. What the Marmite is, it's the 2019 version of Armattan's, I guess, next iteration in the freestyle game. Now, if you're new to the hobby, well, Armattan, they are one of the best companies in the biz. They make amazing stuff. Now, in 2017, we got the Chameleon from Armattan. 2018, we got the Rooster. And now we've got the Marmotte, however you say it. The name is going to confuse me, but overall, this is what we've got in 2019. And each year, they just keep improving and evolving and taking their design to the next level. And this is the current iteration. And on top of that, also, we have a lifetime warranty. So that one we're going to talk about quite a bit as well. If you're the sort of person who's worried about breaking arms or snapping frames, or you're flying really hard, or you just want something that's very, very robust as well, and you don't have to worry too much about your repair bills, well, this is going to be a fantastic freestyle frame for you. Now look, I've got the bind and fly version. I'm going to link this down below because you can pick one up if you don't want to do any building, but I am going to be talking about the frame quite a lot as well. Let's stick it on the scales, find out how much my bind and fly is. It's coming in at 330 grams. Oh, and let's say if I put an antenna on here as well, about 340 grams, getting close to there. And I have made a few minor changes to when I got mine that turned up. So not one of them, I did this little part here, I zip tied it to the side of the frame because it used to come up through the middle. We'll talk about that as a change. And look, I have just taken off my antenna as well. And I've of course put in my own little receiver. So I'm going to just snip that right now so we can get on with the review. Well, let's do it. Let's take it apart, find out what makes this so special, go through the components, talk about the design, all that sort of stuff. So on the component side of things, and look, I'm going to quickly go through these because I want to spend most of the time on the frame, so we'll talk about the frame in detail. But for motors, we've got some Armattan branded motors on here. They're 2306, 2400 kV, a very, very nice, smooth freestyle motor, I must say. Moving towards the middle, we've got some ESCs on the arms. A little bit interesting, actually, because they can take a 2 to a 6S LiPo. They're 30 amps, and I guess you've got the real estate to put it on the arms right here, and that's going to help keep it cooler. Usually we see 4-in-1 ESCs. Not the case on this one. And towards the middle, well, let me just show you how cool this is. It is so easy to work on this frame, like versus some of the others out there. Check this out. Kaboom, that's it. We can zoom in a little bit now, so let me do that. So I've zoomed in. Oh, I did put my own receiver in here, but we've got our F4 flight controller, you know, with Betaflight OSD, all the goods right here in the middle. Then towards the back on the FPV things, we've got a TBS Unify, so some solid components to go with this premium frame with a little pigtail. And then at the front, we've just got a little Foxy camera in right here. Now I should also take this off so you can see that. And this is where your GoPro would go on the top as well. So that's it. That's the components out of the way. But now I want to talk about the goods. Let's talk about the frame and what makes the Marmotte frame so special. Now the first part, the major part, and probably one of my favorite, well, it's in the top 2 favorite things about this frame, is the unibody base plate. It's 4mm, and the carbon on this thing is next level. I'm going to say this is currently the best carbon I have ever seen on any single quad. And look, it's a lot for people to say that, and I know a lot of companies talk about how good their carbon is, but Armattan has to make sure it's got good carbon. Why? Well, because they've got a lifetime warranty. So of course they're going to make the strongest frame that they can, that is going to take ridiculous amounts of punishment. And I spoke to Armattan on the frame a lot about this, in depth actually, about the design of this frame, and believe it or not, it's all made over in America, and I think it might be cut in America as well. Maybe it's cut in Canada, but anyway, this isn't coming out of China. This is coming out of America. It is space grade carbon as well. Now this is the same type of carbon from some of the same manufacturers that make stuff for space programs. So the carbon you're getting here, it's essentially the same carbon they're using in a lot of that space stuff, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to say you have never seen carbon like this. You can tell it looks ridiculous, it feels ridiculous, and it is going to take one heck of an absolute beating. Now the frame itself, it is 4mm thick, and look, trust me, you're going to have such a hard time breaking this sort of stuff. And then it's very, very simple. We've just got our 2 little pieces, I guess, that hold our top plate on, where we're going to be putting this on here. So here we've got a 2mm, I guess, I don't know, top plate, and then we've got our titanium at the front. So not only do we have the strongest carbon in the game, we're also using titanium. And on the Rooster, that's where we first saw titanium come in. And the Rooster, they said, the guys at Armattan have only ever replaced 3 of these front ones. Yes, they've replaced a lot of frames, but they've only ever had 3 people try and claim the front one. That's just how strong these things are. They very, very rarely break. But that doesn't mean they didn't sit on their hands. They actually went back to the drawing board and redesigned it, made it even stronger. Now, just as a bit of a comparison as well, I want to talk about the front plate on the Rooster and why they changed some things on the Marmotte. So on the Rooster, you have this one single piece. It is very, very robust. You know, this is where you put your GoPro on here, but it did a few things that came up after a lot of crashing, that's why they've changed some things in here. So number one, well, the Rooster was on a fixed angle. There was no way to adjust your GoPro angle when you were flying this thing around. So that was it. It was stuck at that 45-degree angle. That is no longer the case in here, because you can actually adjust the angle of this titanium front. And number two, because the titanium was so robust, in a crash it had no give, so the frame would be fine. But what pilots were actually finding on their Rooster is quite often, sometimes they would crack the case on their camera, on their FPV camera, because that's where all the force would, it's got to go somewhere, and that's where they would break their camera. So what actually Armattan has done here, and I'll put some pictures on the screen as well, they've put in these 2 little, they call them camera savers, and those tiny 2 little bits holding your camera in there, they're made out of aluminium, so they have just a tiny little bit of extra give, but that can be enough to save your camera, so it's not taking the complete full brunt of an impact. Of course, there is perfect camera protection. Nothing's going to be getting in there in terms of a direct hit to the camera, but now on a very big shock as well, you've got these 2 little aluminium pieces that are going to help soak up some of that impact. Now, this titanium on the Rooster, you notice it also is so much thinner, so it's going to have a smaller profile as it's ripping through the air. The Rooster was actually had quite a wide little body, and also like a little short stumpy one as well. This one is a lot longer, so you can see the base, the top plate is also a lot longer, but it's also a lot thinner at the front. That means it's going to slice through the air a lot better. The Rooster was only ever milled on 2 axes, or axes, whatever you want to call it. This has actually been milled 6 different ways. So if you look at this thing, it is an absolute work of art. You know, the way they've all milled this, it does mean it's going to cost a little bit more, I guess, in terms of the machine costs, but the crazy part, it's actually cheaper than the Rooster anyway, so I don't know how they've made a better product and also made it even cheaper. And then probably my favorite part. Check this out. So let's say you're flying along, and here's this little part too, this little bit of carbon. Some people just strap their GoPro directly to that. What I like to do is just get one of these little GoPro holders, and then you clip it in the top like that. You never need a Velcro strap again. You simply just slide your GoPro in the side. So I'll see if I can find a link to these little mounts as well. But that's how I've been mounting my GoPro. But check this out. This has to be one of my favorite features. So say you might be being an extreme Matty stunts type of pilot where you want some extreme camera angles. So not only can you adjust your FPV camera, but let's say you want to adjust your GoPro camera, you can do that. Or maybe you want to fly very slow. Maybe you're a beginner and you don't want such extreme camera tilt, and but you always want to make sure your GoPro is at the same angle as your FPV camera. Well, check this out. All you have to do is there's 3 screws in here, and this is what I love about how they've milled it as well. Normally that'd be quite a difficult, you can see these little bolts that are in here. I'll put a picture on the screen as well. Normally it'd be difficult to try to unscrew those just with the shape that they're in and trying to get your little driver in there, but because they've milled this out, they've made it thinner at the front and wider at the base, it is super easy. You just simply loosen each one on each side. Alright, you guys ready for some magic? So I'm going to have to get this in focus because you want to see this. Alright, check this out. So now I've loosened those 3 bolts that are in there. Do I want to go extreme tilt? Do I want to really narrow it down like that? Now it is perfectly flat, so you can adjust this on so many levels. So that is my favorite part. You can slide it up and down, and when you're at the position you want, just tighten it up, then come on autofocus, then Bob's your uncle. We're going to go extreme. I'm going to put mine on extreme, so let's do that. And then you simply just screw them back in. Alrighty, so there it is, all screwed up. I've just increased my camera angle. That's probably my favorite feature, that and the carbon. I just love it. You can simply screw it in, adjust your camera angle, no worries, it's going to be the same as your GoPro. So I think that was one limitation on the Rooster, that they've just gone back to the drawing board and made it even better. Now, of course, some of the other little things, like I mentioned, I do like how the top plate is a little bit longer. That means it's not going to be quite as squished on here when you're running your GoPro as well. And also, this is made to kind of run like a 15 or a 1400 milliamp hour battery, something a little bit bigger, give you some better flight times as well as you're ripping around. And then there's some nice little extra touches that of course come out of a quality frame from Armattan. So what they are, things like this at the back of here, I'll put another picture on the screen. These little metal parts at the back, these little aluminium parts at the back actually rip around and cover the end of your carbon. So if you're flying, they call them frame savers. So if you're flying backwards and you happen to hit some ground, trying to do some Matty stunts or something like that, as this clips the ground or whatever, it's not going to shatter your carbon. Now, some other design features as well, you can see there are so many curves on this frame, and that means there's not going to be any stress points in the carbon. There's not where it's going to, when it hits the ground, all the force is not going to be directed to one area, it's going to be spread out. So that's why you don't see any jagged lines on here. The whole way around we've got some nice gentle curves that should help spread the load in a crash over the carbon. Of course, some other nice little mounting options when we're getting to these little extras. Things like you can have a full-size flight controller, whether you want to go a 20 by 20 board here in the middle, and then when it comes to the top, we've got our little zip tie places, things to zip tie down as well. Now look, that's a bit of a breakdown on the frame. From a design point of view, I love what they're doing and where they're taking it. Look, components aside, the frame itself, I like how it's a little bit longer. I like how they've also increased the camera angle tilt you can get on there with your GoPro as well. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And it's also thinner, so it is going to be slicing through the air, and it is still super easy to work on your craft. So if you need to solder up something, take off 4 top screws, you're ready to rock and roll. So it is super strong, super easy to work with, and you know what? It's kind of crazy as well. It is even lighter. Now this brings us on to the quality of the thing, and I'm going to say, look, it's Armattan. So not only do they have that warranty, which means they have to make sure their frame is good, because otherwise it's going to be costing them money. So they want to make the best frame possible, but the carbon, it is the best carbon I've ever seen. They're using titanium so nicely, the way it's milled, everything in here, the tolerances, it is just absolutely beautiful. And you can just Google Armattan and the quality and all that sort of stuff. It's not just going to be me that says that. There is so many people out there that think Armattan is absolutely incredible. And in regards to freestyle, I don't really think there's any better company that is making nicer stuff and offering the customer more, especially for the price, than this right here. Now, I know I sound like a bit of a fanboy, and you'd be absolutely right. I do love Armattan, but let's move on to the pros and cons. And do I think it's perfect? Well, no, there are some things that I'm looking forward to in the future. We'll just have to see if they come out in some other revisions, but let's get the cons out of the way first. And number one, well, I guess if you get a bind and fly, originally my little XT60 connector came up. It was underneath the flight controller, and it came out the top right here. So just like that, I kind of don't want that. So if I'm getting the bind and fly, I would much prefer a little pigtail out the side or zipped in. So maybe if there's a little piece on the carbon top plate that I could zip it or tie it up to or something like that. So that's probably my first part. And then the other part, the only other con I have is with my antenna. So I feel like my antenna might be breaking a little bit. Now, antennas are pretty cheap to replace, so that's not too much of a problem. But when they're sticking out the back like this, I feel, you can already see I've had a few big crashes here. My antenna is all buckled and bent up. What I am probably going to do is remove this little pigtail, run a little UHF straight to Pagoda out there, put that in and zip tie it down, and it does have some little spaces right here where I can do that. Now, this is probably how I would prefer to fly. If I was building this, that's what I'd be doing. So I'm going to be switching that out ASAP. But other than that, I am an absolute massive fan. And that brings us on to the pros. Now the first one, well, there's actually quite a lot, but the first one I want to talk about is the quality of the carbon. I have never seen carbon like this, and I believe they've got kind of an exclusive deal for the next 8 months or 10 months or something, where you're going to be seeing a lot of this carbon coming out in the future, but you're going to be waiting quite a while because Armattan, they've secured some special deal, and they're the only ones using this type of carbon made in the USA that is quite this fancy. So that's the number one. Number two, I love the titanium at the front, and I think this is an ingenious idea of how we can adjust our camera. Number three, you've got more real estate to put your battery on there, so that's fantastic. Number four, it is so easy to work on. Number six, well, it's gone back to the unibody base plate, and I've got to say, I kind of think this is better for the consumer out there. I don't know why Armattan did it, because you'd think it would cost them more money. On the Rooster, if you broke an arm, all they had to do was send you out an arm. On this one, well, because they've got a lifetime warranty, if you break the, this must be how much they believe in their product. If you break, an arm or something, they've got to send you out a whole new base plate. And normally I'd say, well, that's a bit annoying. Changeable arms is a little bit better. But when the cost is on Armattan and you get the replacement anyway, as the customer, well, that's a win for you. So it's going to keep it lighter. When that means it is lighter as well. So that's another pro as well. It's actually coming in lighter than the Rooster. And the last one, it's also coming in cheaper. So I believe it's about $109. Some prices may change, but that's actually even cheaper than the Rooster. It's something lighter, stronger. It's got more real estate in here with better carbon and a top-notch warranty for even makes it even cheaper for you guys out there. It's just kind of so many pros. So I'm going to say, if you're looking for a new freestyle rig, if you're just getting into the hobby and you want to get a premium frame, but you also want to get something where you kind of get some value for your money, this one, because of the warranty, that not only is everything amazing about the frame itself, but the warranty and the customer service, they're absolutely top notch. So hats off to the guys over at Armattan. It's also kind of crazy too, like most of our frames seem to be cut in China and then shipped out and all that sort of stuff. It's nice to see Armattan going the other way and getting it all made like in the USA and Canada and that sort of stuff as well, because it shows, look, they can make amazing stuff in there, and a lot of people think it breaks the bank, but turns out Armattan's somehow figured out how to do it right. Rightio, so there it is. There's my review of the Armattan Marmotte, and overall I gotta say, hats off, they're doing an amazing job. If you're a new freestyle pilot or whether you've been in the game for a long time, you want something that's gonna take a beating, and they make sure they've done it right, because this carbon, trust me, incredible. The lifetime warranty, that's where it's all at for me. This frame just keeps getting better and better. But if you're out there, you want to buy a frame, like, I know I'm in a very lucky position. Check this out, all those quads, I am very, very fortunate. It would be too easy for me to stand here and say, yes, buy this frame and not have to worry if you guys broke it down the road. And well, because I've got a whole bucket, a whole wall of frames to pick up. But I understand, not everyone is like that. Not everyone has tons of cash to drop on quads. They just want to buy something that works for them and is going to last them. And that's why I love what Armattan is doing. They're making one of the best frames in the biz, and for freestyle, it is next level. And also, they've got that lifetime warranty, so they need to make sure they're making a frame that is going to hold up, that can take a beating. Things like using titanium, using this new type of tech, this new type of carbon that we really haven't seen before, the high quality stuff that we haven't seen before in any of these other quads on the wall. So, well done to Armattan, and I don't know how you made it even cheaper than the Rooster, so that's hats off. I'm very, very impressed. And you sourced the carbon from America. It's just kind of blows my mind. So I don't know. I want to say big shout out to them. I love what you're doing. Do I think it's perfect? No. For the bind and flies, look, please, I want to have my little part stuck on the side, and I am going to be moving my antenna, but other than that, it is pretty freaking close to being perfect for a freestyle rig. You can tell I'm excited. I'm a huge fan. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Go watch part 2. Have some fun. Huge shout out to Armattan because we've got one to give away. Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related Armattan Marmotte action. And as always, happy flying. It's a work of art, I'm telling you. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.